It's Thursday the 17th, I'm FX Blue and this is CurrencyTransfer.com's market update. The headlines today are that the Prime Minister's fate is tied to the Chequers proposal, Powell's testimony is expected to shed light on rate hike policy, and the euro still lacks any fresh drivers. So support from the Chequers proposal is being challenged from both sides. Leavers feel that it hardly constitutes Brexit at all, and Remainers are happy to make further concessions to ensure that the membership of the customs union survives. Pro-Brexit rebel MPs forced through a number of amendments yesterday. Theresa May reacted saying that they were in line with government thinking, but Remainers have called her out on this, saying if that's true, why weren't they in the original proposal? Sterling has barely reacted to these new developments though. Cable touched 132.95 yesterday as the market remains convinced that a soft Brexit is going to be good for sterling and a hard Brexit is going to be bad. But there is little positivity towards the pound at the moment and very few long positions in the market. Today we have employment data due out for June, which is expected to pass with little reaction. Fed Chair Jerome Powell, he has his first annual testimony in front of the State Banking Committee today. The US economy is performing pretty well, no real signs of overheating, and inflation is present but doesn't pose any immediate risk, and certainly no risk of running out of control. So it'll be interesting to see how he justifies the current hawkish policy without confirming a presidential demand for normalisation of rates. He's also expected to either ignore or be marginally supportive of the trade war. As a Republican and Trump supporter, it's very unlikely that he will cite any opposing views to policy there. The dollar index was pretty quiet yesterday, ranging between 94.40 and 94.75, quiet ahead of today's testimony. And meanwhile, the single currency remains hemmed in. Euro dollar is trading between 116.75 and 117.26 yesterday. Currently, most of the main issues facing Europe rely on external forces. We've got Brexit, that's awaiting the UK deciding on a workable proposal. And then we've got Trump, and if his antipathy towards the EU develops from current comments over the monetary policy and currency weakness and develops into introducing any more trade tariffs, then again the EU can only be reactive to whatever plays out in either circumstance. But if you think about it, between the EU and the US, for economies that are currently performing adequately, the US GDP being 2.8% and the EU GDP being 2.5%, their current outlook and indeed agreed policies are in stark contrast. So it's difficult to see that any future conflict is going to be avoided if those policies continue to diverge. Any questions? Pop them in the comments below, otherwise I'll talk to you again tomorrow.